Hello, in this video we're going to list the top 10 cars that are best for Uber driving. Stay tuned. Welcome to my channel, I Ride Share 2, and my name is Vince. Now, we're going to talk about the top 10 cars that are best for Uber driving, and this list was compiled by Dan Collins over at carbibles.com. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification button as well. We're going to list the top 10 cars in no particular order. Let's get started. The first car on our list is the 2018 Toyota Camry Hybrid.
There are actually two versions of the 2018 Camry Hybrid. If you want the highest rated fuel economy, go for the base LE trim level. The EPA rates that one at 52 miles a gallon combined. That falls to 46 miles a gallon combined if you upgrade to the sportier SE or the more luxurious XLE versions of the hybrid. Both are heavier and add more features at higher prices. We tested an XLE version earlier this year over 150 miles in Colorado, blending highway, urban, and suburban driving. We confirmed the onboard computer's reading of just over 50 miles a gallon. Not too bad. We like the looks of the new 2018 Camry, which is lower and sleeker, though the electric Razor front-end design came in for some criticism by a few editors. The 2018 is about an inch lower than the last generation, and we found that made access to the rear seat a bit more challenging for full-size adults, slightly puzzling in a mid-size sedan that often carries 3 or 4 people. The inside isn't as futuristic as the latest Prius hybrid, which is a good thing. It's largely predictable, with knobs for the climate control and sound systems. The 7-inch central touchscreen is bright and crisp, though for 2018, we think there's really no excuse for not including Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. They let a driver safely use a smartphone as a navigation system, not to mention streaming radio and other apps. The Camry Hybrid is powered by a specially tuned 2.5-liter inline-4, paired to an 88-kilowatt electric drive motor, for a total output of 208 horsepower. That's enough to move the Camry Hybrid through traffic without difficulty. The battery pack is now located under the rear seat, meaning there's no more intrusion into trunk space compared to the non-hybrid model. Behind the wheel, the Camry Hybrid clearly handles and holds the road better than its predecessor. That's one of the benefits of all new underpinnings shared with the Prius and other models. It's quiet under most circumstances, although the downside is that it makes engine roar considerably more noticeable under maximum power. But that engine noise is better isolated and more remote than in previous generations of Camry Hybrid, which could get coarse.
The next car on our list is the 2018 Chevy Malibu Hybrid.
Extraordinary fuel economy puts the 2018 Chevrolet Malibu Hybrid among a rare group of mid-size sedans, even as it maintains all the appealing style and wealth of features of its non-hybrid siblings. The Malibu Hybrid carries over unchanged for 2018, offering a uniquely efficient alternative propulsion system. The Malibu Hybrid presents a sleek appearance with aerodynamic features, such as upper and lower grille shutters that improve airflow. Premium design cues are evidenced in the contemporary styling of the illumination equipment that includes LED daytime running lights. Inside the Malibu Hybrid, an expansive 5-passenger cabin provides ample front and rear legroom. A driver efficiency gauge provides feedback to help drivers get the best fuel economy, while the well-designed center stack makes it easier to delineate infotainment system controls from climate controls. Standard features include the Chevrolet MyLink system, Bluetooth connectivity, and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone integration. The Malibu Hybrid employs a 2-mode hybrid system that pairs a 1.8-liter inline 4-cylinder gasoline engine with a 2-motor electric drive unit. The gasoline engine sends 124 horsepower to the front wheels and is assisted by the electric drive unit that's capable of boosting total system output up to 182 horsepower. Power is delivered via a unique electronically variable automatic transmission. A 1.5 kilowatt lithium-ion battery provides electric power to the system and is capable of providing enough energy to propel the vehicle solely on electricity at speeds up to 55 miles per hour. Here are the estimates for fuel economy. Standard safety features on the Malibu Hybrid include a rear-view camera, 10 airbags with front and rear roof rail airbags, and an exclusive teen driver system that encourages safe driving habits with features such as audio muting if the seatbelts are not properly engaged. The Malibu Hybrid is backed by a 3-year 36,000-mile basic warranty and a 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. Coupling style, comfort, and convenience with exceptional fuel efficiency, the 2018 Chevrolet Malibu Hybrid brings a new generation of performance engineering to the midsize sedan arena.
The next car is the 2018 Toyota Prius Hybrid.
Of course, people buy these cars to drive themselves. They're not just owned by Uber drivers. So get out, Mr. Uber driver. Let me demonstrate this car. So here we have the rather quirky interior of the Toyota Prius. And I quite like the design. It's interesting the way you've got the speedo and various information up there, then your central infotainment display here. Now, as standard, the car comes with a smaller screen without satellite navigation. This is an upgrade, or you get it with a mid-level trim called the Business Plus. This system I've got here, it's okay to use, so you can navigate it easily enough. The only problem is that it just seems a little bit slow to respond, and the graphics are a little bit dated. They're kind of like from some old mobile phone, really. Now, if you click up there, you can see my full in-depth video review of the infotainment system. As for the rest of the cabin, it's pretty functional, well laid out. The driving seat is comfortable, and it's quite easy to find your ideal driving position. Cubby spaces are okay, so the door bins aren't that large, but you can hold a medium-sized bottle. You've got quite a bit of storage space under here with a useful extra little tray. There's some cup holders here with an adjustable centre part, though I don't know what that's for. There's some more storage here, and I'm not sure about this. Maybe it's for carrying individual Twix bars like that, so you can just tease your passenger with them. Now we've looked round the car, let's see what it's like to drive. Toyota pretty much started the whole hybrid craze with the original Prius back in 1997. So 20 years on, they have totally nailed the technology. Now I've got a 1.8 litre petrol engine combined to an electric motor, and together they produce about 123 horsepower. Now the good thing about the Prius is that it's just brilliant for driving in town. So if you want, you can actually lock it in electric only mode, and you can cruise along silently using the electric motor at speeds of up to 36 miles an hour. Now if you want to go a little bit quickly, you put your foot down and then the petrol engine does kick in, but you hardly notice it at all. It's just seamless. Another thing I like about the Prius, which makes it great for in town, is it's really manoeuvrable. The steering's light, and it's actually easy to do a U-turn if you want to go and pick up a fare. I also like the suspension, so I'm going to seek out a bump, a pothole like you'll find in town, and deals with it really, really well. Visibility is good as well. Got a huge windscreen. These pillars aren't too obtrusive. The only problem is the view out the back, which is limited by that spoiler across the rear.
Then there's the 2019 Kia Soul.
When you think of the Kia Soul, you may imagine a fun little car focused on aesthetics. But the 2019 model has more than colors to offer any potential driver. Kia offers the Soul in various trims with a bevy of options to get the right one for you. And best of all, the base model now features enough of the best features to actually be a real option alongside the higher trims. So let's take a deeper look into the 2019 edition of the Kia Soul. Number 1. Soulful options. As we mentioned, one of our biggest takeaways is Kia's commitment to providing several viable options for Soul buyers. Each model features a different engine configuration, and the base even offers a manual transmission for added diversity. The base comes equipped with a 1.6-liter i4 engine with 130 horsepower and 118 pound-feet of torque. If you want more giddy up and go, the Plus model has a 2.0-liter i4 that produces 161 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque. Finally, the top-level Exclaim trim offers a turbocharged 1.6-liter i4 that outputs 201 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque for the most power you can get under the hood. No matter which model you get, gas mileage is similar, averaging around 25 mpg in the city and 30 mpg highway. In addition to the different engines, you can equip the Designer Collection package on your Soul to gain a few external details. These include a two-tone roof and trim, as well as a leather-wrapped steering wheel and 18-inch wheels. The Exclaim trim also offers the panoramic sunroof for sunny days or picturesque starry nights. That's not to mention some stylish red accents all around. Number 2. Lights and sound. Souls are known for flash and flare, which you'll find here in the form of numerous sources of interior light. The interior features LED mood lighting, as well as lighting all around, including the front speakers that actually mimics the tone and rhythm of your music. On the outside, you have available HID, high intensity discharge, headlights, and an array of LED taillights and LED front fog lights. For sound aficionados, the Light Up sound system is a Harman Kardon product that gives you the premium listening environment. The refinement extends to the interior materials. Kia utilized soft touch materials and tailored the headrests. The Exclaim trim also sports either cloth or leather trims with vibrant orange stitching. Those seats are both available with ventilation, allowing for heating and cooling functionality. Number 3, DriveWise. We can't end this video without talking about the numerous driving and safety features of the Soul. Kia's impressive lineup of helpful driving aids are called Kia DriveWise Driver Assistance Technology. What does that include? Glad you asked. It encompasses such features like autonomous emergency braking, forward collision warning, lane departure warning, smart cruise control, blind spot detection, and rear cross traffic alert. If you like choice and options, the Soul is an interesting little SUV with enough variability for everyone to find the one that fits them best. And with 60 cubic feet of cargo space, there's enough room to make it a viable car for hauling all of your stuff. The biggest change is the addition of standard items on the base model, so even that trim is an attractive model for buyers.
Next we have the 2019 Honda CR-V.
Now there are two engines available for the CR-V, a 2.4-liter four-cylinder and a turbocharged 1.5-liter four-cylinder. The higher trim level that I'm in, the Touring, has the 1.5-liter turbo. That has more power. It also gives you better mileage, which is nice that you can get both together. But there is a downside we found to both of them, and it is this. Off the line, when you accelerate from a stop, for the first couple seconds, it feels like almost nothing happens. Watch this. It really takes a while to get going. And that really stood out about the CR-V versus many competitors. Now, it's not the end of the world, because once you get going, the continuously variable transmission, though it's a CVT and we don't love them, does a pretty good job. And this engine in particular seems to have enough power once the engine gets going. But this is not a car that you're going to be diving into gaps in traffic with from a stop. It's kind of hair-raising the first time you try and turn left with oncoming traffic and you move that slowly. Just not enough. Now, I don't want to let Honda off the hook for that lag by saying this, but the upside to this drivetrain overall is that the mileage is quite good. With the 1.5-liter turbo, you get a combined EPA estimated rating of 30 miles per gallon, which is good. With the lesser engine, it's 28 miles per gallon combined. And all-wheel drive costs you only 1 mile per gallon in each case, 1 mile per gallon lower if you add the all-wheel drive. That's pretty good. Another thing we noticed about the CR-V is the ride quality. None of these SUVs ride like terrific luxury vehicles, but some are more comfortable than others, and we found that the CR-V is a little bit busy. A lot of body motions, and I in particular, driving this vehicle back to back with 6 competitors on the same roads, found that there was some bouncing, some actual pitching motions that I didn't experience in the other vehicles. And it's partly because this is a relatively short wheelbase. That's the distance between the front and the rear wheels for the size of the CR-V overall. So not a deal breaker by most, stretches of the imagination, but there are differences among these competitors in the compact SUV class, and you need to figure out what matters most to you. As for the handling, I like the CR-V. I think that it handles well overall because I like the steering. The steering is precise, has some feedback to it. There's some body roll, as there is in almost all the vehicles in this class, which comes from having this higher center of gravity. But the CR-V to me feels a little bit sporty in a class that, again, isn't all that sporty to begin with. So there are pluses and minuses. By and large, I think the CR-V gets it right. Though if you have the kind of roads we have here in Chicago, where Cars.com is headquartered,
I think you might be thinking twice about the ride quality in the CR-V. As for the interior, mostly a positive story. I have enough headroom at 6 feet tall, even though I have the seat all the way up where I like it, which is positive. Some of my colleagues have said they thought that the seats were a little bit narrow, but I'm doing okay in that regard. One thing I'd like a little more of is depth in the bottom cushion, but for what it's worth, that's actually pretty common in this class to have that bottom cushion not quite as long as you want it and not to have any kind of means of extending it. Now onto a downside in this model, I think one of the greatest, the multimedia system. Now by today's standards, this touchscreen at just 7 inches measured diagonally is not very large. We also don't care for the design of the menus. It can be a little bit confusing, and we also don't like the touch sensitive or capacitive touch buttons alongside of it. And there is just one knob for the volume, there's no knob for tuning. Now Honda seems to have gotten wise to this. If you look at something like the current Accord, you'll see 2 knobs and actual mechanical buttons, physical buttons, as opposed to these touch sensitive ones. But just like in most of the industry, just because an automaker sees the light, it doesn't mean that it translates to all of their models all at the same time. Another downside to the multimedia is though it includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, the Android Auto, when I attached it, would always take a long time to connect, and sometimes it just failed to do so. Bear in mind that this was against 5 other models back to back that also had Android Auto, and the CR-V was the only model where there were any glitches working with Android Auto. And for what it's worth, I know phones sometimes make a difference, but it was a Samsung Galaxy, not exactly a fringe product out there. That was a bit of a bummer. Then there's the fact that the USB ports are kind of hidden down here in the storage box, and one of the 2 is just 1 amp, which is not a lot of current for charging today's phones. So you're starting to see the age of this model a little bit. Now that brings us to another upside, however, which is this storage compartment. Even against the 6 other models we tested it in our challenge, this was the most versatile and one of the largest center storage units, which really matters to people. It's partly because it's so close to where you're sitting, and it's also because it's one of the covered options with a sliding armrest as well. It has this configurable piece that really gives you a lot of different options in how you want your objects stored, and if this bugs you, unlike some of the removable trays you find in cars, this one actually just sort of seats along the back. It just vanishes. Takes it out of the way without getting it lost in the back seat or kicking around in the cargo area. We noticed there are 2 features that are actually proliferating in this compact SUV class that are not available in the 2019 CR-V, and they include a heated steering wheel and a panoramic moonroof. But the panoramic moonroof makes more of a difference in the back seat. Backseat passengers are typically the ones that are going to appreciate a panoramic moonroof more because it makes things feel more open even if they aren't. And in fact, a panoramic moonroof can decrease the headroom, but I've also heard from some people, taller people, that having a panoramic moonroof raises certain parts, like the center part of the roof, and makes more room there, so it really depends. Having said all that, there's plenty of headroom in here. As I said, I'm 6 feet tall. And legroom aplenty. I just checked to make sure the driver's seat was all the way back, and it is. It's crazy, especially because this car doesn't have a sliding back seat, which can apportion space between the passengers and the cargo area. And I would consider that a downside if it weren't for the fact that the cargo space turns out to be quite good as well. So it turns out, even without the sliding back seat, the CR-V had the most cargo volume behind the back seat with the backrests up of the 7 models in our recent comparison test. So in addition to that, other pluses include a very low lift-in height. There's also some space under the floor. Most important, there's accommodations for the retractable cargo shade, which is great because if you don't want it up here where it can obstruct a larger package or something that you want to carry, you don't, put it in the back seat or leave it in the garage or something like that. It fits right in here. I also found that the space between the wheel wells here is 41 inches. I was able to carry a nice wide box flat with the back seat folded flat. So really good performance. This thing turns out to be something of a cargo star.